Hey guys, be sure to check out the Mortar Pod, our weekly video podcast, and also check out the tutorial video for my board game, Travelers of Storia. Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're doing another Khans of Tarkir Swiss draft. We've got a awesome rare here since I kind of feel like they screwed up the design on this card a little bit because it morphs for colorless. I just don't like the fact that any color can ramp like that with a creature. I don't know, something about it bugs me, but just in a design sense. In a playability sense, it doesn't bug me at all. I think it's a phenomenal card. Morphs, unmorphs, you don't even have to be green, and then it's just like a ramp stick for you. Awesome card. Dead drops in here as well. Bitter Revelation's okay. Stalker, Skull Hunter. Really not that much else in here beyond the Mystic, to be honest. I mean, Dead Drop is a good card. There's some matches where Dead Drop is such a terrible card. If you're ever playing against the Ponyback Brigade deck or something along those lines, you're really going to regret having that Dead Drop. But sometimes it just destroys people, so goes both ways. All right, well, you know, Flying Crane Technique to me is a pretty incredibly strong card, offensively and defensively. Yes, it's expensive, but that's a really strong effect. Untap all your guys. So defensively, I'm going to untap all my guys and then double strike all of your guys down on defense. Or offensively, all my guys have double strike now. I'm going to fly over and kill you. Very good. Warden of the Eye, phenomenal card. Brings back all sorts of important spells. I think I'm a sucker for cool rares. I think I'm going to take the Flying Crane Technique. I've yet to see it played, which surprises me. I mean, yes, it's a little bit expensive and color intensive, but it's tough to deny in a prowess color combination a card that gives all of your guys flying and double strike. That is a very nice ability mashup, so I'm going to take that. If it doesn't work out, so be it. But once again, remember, this is a gray ogre that ramps me, so I'm not even considering it a green card at all. Okay. Let's see here. Abzan Charm's probably the strongest card in the pack. Bring Low is some removal. Alabaster Curin is okay. Debilitating Injury is, of course, a good removal spell for the morphs. This is an interesting one. I think it's early enough where I can just get away with taking the Abzan Charm. It's a lot of potentially good things out of this. Drawing cards at instant speed. Yeah, this got to be one of the best charms. Kills things, makes your guys bigger, or just draw cards. When do any of those modes not matter? It's tough for me to see. If you don't have creatures, you have less than 2 life, and there's no creatures with power 3 or greater on the board. That's the one time that it doesn't do anything. But yes, for now we're just taking good cards, figuring things out later. It's possible I make a 4 and 5 color deck, although Flying Crane Technique, not exactly what I think of when I think of a 4 and 5 color deck. Thornwood Falls is an option here. The blue for the technique, and there's not a lot of color mashup here. I mean, we've got all 5 colors between these two, so I sort of just want to solidify into one of those. I think Killshot's a good deck, or a card for a deck that already is what this is sort of shaping into, a slower looking deck. Misfire Weaver is a reasonable card. I mean, Thornwood Falls is a good card, but I don't know if it's really exactly what I'm looking for, since it doesn't fix for Technique or Abzan Charm all that well. Whereas if I take Killshot, it kind of works for both Technique and Abzan Charm. So I'm going to take the Killshot because it's a good removal spell. Okay, now we can take the Bloodfell Caves, but that mostly just helps us get the Abzan Charm and Flying Crane Technique in the same deck, and I'm still not entirely convinced that's going to happen. I can take the Disowned Ancestor and start going more of a black-white Warriors route. And I know that might seem a little bit awkward after these first few picks, but it's not bad either. You know, there's nothing impressive enough in this pick. I think we just take the Bloodfell Caves, even though it's really not all that useful for us. I mean, otherwise what? I'm taking like a Water Whirl, which is a good card, but not exactly what I'm looking for. I think if I take the Bloodfell Caves fixing right now, at least later I'll have more options. Whereas if I miss any of those cards, I'm not going to be terribly upset. You hear my cats freaking out on each other in the background. Well, Mindswipe's a good card. I do like that one. Hordeling Outburst, you know, good with Trumpet Blast and such. Mineswipe's a legitimate rare in my mind. Sort of moves us back into the just Sky area, but I think that's all right. I'm going to take the Mineswipe. You know, I've seen enough people get killed with this card where I think it's okay. I don't think it's the greatest card in the world. I don't think it's that bad, though, either. So I'm going to take it. And now it sort of seems like we're getting out of the Abzan territory and back into the Just Sky territory. Or else it just seems like I really like rare cards, which is also true. Alright, Lich Lord, not really the option here I'm looking for. You know, I can get in Leaping Master territory. Monastery Flock is going to be better for the sort of slower rebuilds. I actually think Flock's a great defensive card, but I actually need to be a little bit more proactive with this deck. But then again, I've got Killshot, which is slower. I can't decide what I want. I think, actually, just based on the cards I have, besides Flying Crane Technique, both Killshot and Mineswipe are better, slower cards. Is there any way I can get away with a Just Sky slow deck, or is that just ridiculous? I know Just Sky is typically aggro, but what can I say? I'm a little bit, right now, more interested in a slower Just Sky deck and exploring that and seeing if that's an option. All right, I think I like the Student in this deck if we're going to be a slower, because it doesn't look like we're hyper aggressive here, and Killshot is less impressive in an aggro deck. Flying Crane Technique can still be a very defensive card, as I said. It's obviously more impressive as a way to kill, but it certainly is a defensive card as well. Very good with prowess. So I think we're taking the Just Sky Student over the Leaping Master. And at this point, I guess I'm just going to sideboard the Abzan Charm. I don't think it's happening. We're probably not doing anything with Bloodfell Caves. I still can do Just Sky Beatdown, but this is not like the ideal opener for that sort of plan. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So Glacial Stalker could be a potential finisher. Bloodfire Mentor is a playable card, but not one I like all that much. You know, Salt Road Patrol, I think, is actually a reasonable card, too. 5 toughness in this format is pretty nice. It's less mana intensive as Glacial Stalker. I'm going to take the Salt Road Patrol. I think it's actually a pretty reasonable hold down the fort card. It's not all that great, but 5 toughness, like I said, is actually pretty good. Especially when you have nice defensive cards like Killshot already. All right, well, Weapon Master seems good. I like it. It's certainly good with flying and double strike, and it's certainly good even in a defensive deck because 4-power first strike is very good. So happily take that. Think we are going to need some fixing at some point, but keep in mind Rattleclaw Mystic is actually a pretty good ramper for us since it gives us access to both blue and red in this deck, which is nice. All right, Take Up Arms is reasonable. Cancel if we want to be full-on control, which I must admit I haven't done much of. Seems more difficult to do in this format. Could just take the Wetland Sandbar as it's a reasonable 2-drop creature. You know, I'm going to take the cancel. I haven't played much of a counter-spelly deck in this format, and I'm willing to try weird things out at this point. I haven't had much success, so I'm willing to try uh, things that are more unusual. Maybe it's just because I'm such a sucker for rares. Let's take the Dragon Grip here. This is actually a reasonable defensive spell as well. I know you're wondering, why are you trying defensive Jeskai? Well, because I want to branch out. I want to try weird things in Swiss. All right, Whirlwind Adept. It's got prowess, so seems pretty amazing with Flying Crane Technique. Deal 10 damage with Hexproof. Hexproof flying, 10 damage. I like it. All right, here I'll take the Barrage of Boulders over the second Whirlwind Adept because I think one Whirlwind Adept is probably more than enough. And we get a Tormenting Voice as our last card, which is hilariously playable, so happy to get that. Foil Ankle Shanker, pretty powerful there. Pretty powerful Necropolis Fiend, but both of those not exactly what I'm looking for, to be perfectly honest. Crippling Chill's a reasonable spell. I like the Mardu Heartpiercer. Let's start sorting by color. I'm starting to get a little weirded out here since our fixing's bad. So we're kind of an even split amongst the three colors. So let's begin to actually marry a color here that we want to marry. I think Heartpiercer is probably the best on-color card, but we're going to have a little bit of trouble getting that raid going. Mostly because we just don't have a lot of early attackers since we're slower. Sage Eye Harrier is a pretty reasonable card. It has high toughness. Crippling Chill's very good with prowess and such. I guess I'm a little bit less impressed by it in a control build. And at this point, I'm just thinking we're not looking hyper aggressive. I guess I take the Crippling Chill. I do like it quite a bit. Cantripping is good. Okay, Highspire Mantis is quite good, but Windswept Heath, to be perfectly honest, is worth a bunch of tickets, so I think I'm just going to take that. Otherwise, I'd probably take another Kill Shot, maybe. I do like the Highspire Mantis. That's a good card. So I'm hoping we can table a Crag, Kill Shot, Bondkin Tracker. It's actually quite a few cards that I wouldn't mind tabling from here. Why are we taking the Windswept Heath, besides it's worth tickets? Well, I don't have any justification beyond that. I can hard cast a Rattleclaw Mystic with it, but that's only if I ran a Forest in addition, which I'm not going to do. I'm pretty sure Windswept Heath's worth money, right? According to my sources, it's still worth like 5 tickets, which is pretty insane, so we'll take that. And rapidly hide it. Okay. So, Temur Charger is okay. Scaldkin is okay. It flies. Longshot Squad is green, so it can't work. So let's settle on our base colors. What do we want our base colors to be? Probably blue. Usually blue-red, I think, and then white is the splash, but that's not necessarily true. I could also take the Harrier, which is a good blocker, and evades. I like that Scaldkin can kill morph creatures, though. Bashes reasonably well. It is a little more expensive on the top end. I think probably the Harrier is a better card, but then again, it's pretty expensive to morph it and unmorph it. And hard casting, it's not super easy either. This is interesting. I think I take the Scaldkin, but it's not super good. I think we actually need some more powerhouse cards in this deck. I mean, Horde Chief is reasonable. Glacial Stalker's reasonable. I gotta take a look at my curve again. Alright, so I probably need... I could take a second Salt Road Patrol just because it blocks well. I could switch it up and take a Glacial Stalker here. Citadel only fixes for one of our colors. Doesn't seem super useful. This is challenging. I'm not exactly sure. I think I want to stick to either. It's definitely blue huge base, But then what do I want my second color to mostly be? Red or white? I'm not sure on the answer on that. I think here I'm going to nab a Glacial Stalker. I already got the Salt Road Patrol, so Glacial Stalker can be an actual way to kill people, which is nice. Well, Leaping Master's red. It kind of moves me more into the blue-red. All right. You know, I can do the blue-red, and white is more of our splash color. I guess I can get behind that. I actually think that's pretty reasonable. Otherwise a tracker, but let's get some more 2-drops going. So Leaping Master is fine. Could also take the Sandbar. I mean, it's clearly less good than Leaping Master, but it also is less color intensive. Let's focus on our blue base. I don't want our mana, since we have 0 pieces of fixing right now. I think focusing on a color until we see on-color fixing will be best. I mean, Venerable Lamassu is an actual card that kills people. And it's certainly fine on a splash. Snowhorn Rider. Do I want to go 4-color? I feel like since I have 0 fixing, 4-color is just right out. I could take Tygon Scheming to help fix, but not super happy with that either. Let's take the 5-power flyer, I guess. I had said we're a slower control deck, so I guess the Lamassu makes sense for that. I mean, Horde Shrieker is a reasonable card. Much more aggressive than defensive. It does give us white mana, which isn't super helpful at 3 and 2. Potentially play a student off of it, but not really feeling it. Horde Ambusher is more for aggressive builds, but can we even be aggressive anymore? I don't think so. I think we'll take the Glacial Stalker. This might be another of those 18 land decks. Not that we have a ton of high-end stuff, it's just I have no fixing, so it would be nice. We can take a second Weapon Master. We can take the Expert. I think I like the Weapon Master more, even though it's a little more color intensive. Maybe we can have all of our color issues solved in pack 3. I guess that's more wishful thinking. I don't know. We'll find out. At the very least, this nice Weapon Master can kill Abzan Guides, because those are going pretty late. Guess we can take the Ramparts. It's a control card, all right. Not one I'm super impressed with. Can take a second cancel. I think we take the Weave Fate. That's looking like something this deck would want. Get some card draw. Temur Charm going that late is pretty insane. I don't know if we need a second Tormenting Voice. I think I'm going to hate the Temur Charm because it's just good. Shambling Attendance, I wish it was on color. Seek the Horizon, not all that good. I guess we'll take the Attendance. It's a pretty good card. So, what in the hell are we? I guess we're slow Jeskai. That is what I said pack 1, and that kind of is what we're shaping up to be. I think the issue is we don't have a lot of removal, which typically control decks like. I mean, this deck's not a complete disaster. It's just kind of close to a complete disaster. We need some actual fixing for this deck to actually work. Rattleclaw Mystic I am still counting as fixing because it is, but I'd like some actual land fixing. And like I said, I think we're probably going to end up doing 18 lands. I've got card draw to sort of mitigate the land flood a little bit, and we actually have a lot of expensive stuff to do in the late game, so we'll see. I mean, we have some decent early blockers, a couple early roadblocks like the Flock and Salt Road Patrol are some nice early roadblocks, but I'd like a couple more finishers. I mean, to be honest, our finishers aren't the worst. So, actually, you know what this deck wants? I just want some fixing, and I want some more removal. and I'll be perfectly satisfied with this. Because we have the counter spells that I think I'm happy with and I'm probably going to end up playing. We have some actual finishers already. I think between Lamasu, Double Stalker, Double Weapon Master, we actually have ways to kill our opponents. But I would like to get maybe a kill shot more. I would like to get some fixing, like at least 2 would be preferable. We can minimize White's impact in this deck pretty easily. I think kill shot is definitely a worthy splash. Lamasu is, it's probably a worthy splash. Dazzling Ramparts and Salt Road Patrol starting to get a little less impressive, and Just Sky Student I just don't think is a very splashable card at all. It's hard to justify a 2-drop splash. Whoa! Well, we opened a good on-color rare, so I guess that's a nice perk. Mystic Monastery would be nice too, since fixing, but since we don't have any cards quite as powerful as Sage of the Inward Eye in here, I think we're going to take it. Greedy, yes, but I'm a greedy man. You should know this by now. This is probably why I don't win that much. Mystic Monastery, Swiftwater Cliffs would both be very good. Mystic Monastery clearly better for us, but Smite would be nice. Mystic of the Hidden Way, nice. But I'm going to take the rare and be happy with that. So I think we're probably not main decking Barrage of Boulders, though I've seen it. Possibly not playing the Dragon Grip. It doesn't seem exactly in line with what I wanted to do with this deck. Keep in mind, these are all sort of 3 drops. And this guy is 2. Just Sky Student. It's going to be tough to play. So this deck needs to do some more things early. Jeez. And we're past an insane white rare. Okay, well. I think the amazing thing about our deck is it's like, it's full of rares, but yet it's not impressive. How weird is that? Like this is probably the most rares I've played in any of my Khans of Tarkir drafts, but it's like also the least impressive deck I've had so far. Probably not the least impressive, but it's up there. I don't like seeing Bellstrike in slow decks. Winterflame would be a phenomenal card too, but you can't pass. I mean, look at these flyers we have now. We just picked up like some of the most insane finishers. Now I just want guys that hold up the ground really well, So clearly taking high Sentinels because even on our white splash color, they're still insane. I'm pretty sure white is still the splash, by the way, so I think we're going to dump the Student. It's awesome. It's how hilarious is that? I'm playing a Just Sky deck and I'm cutting Just Sky Student. That is just weird. But I'm still going to do it. What can I say? What can I say? A bunch of multicolor guys, none of which are on color with us. Cancel number 2. Blossoming Sands does not actually fix for us, contrary to popular belief. Could just take the War Shrieker, I guess. We are more of a blue splash red and white deck, so that's actually pretty nice. If you take a look at that, that's actually a truth. We're more of a blue deck that splashes both white and red. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess we'll take War Shrieker. It's certainly a fine card, and I think that we have enough morph to justify it. Yeah. Still not all that good in our deck. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than you might think to generate raid, but it is a 3/3 body, I guess, so it's got that going for it. This is a strange deck. This is a strange deck. It's looking less and less like Dragon Grip's what I'm going to want. All right, I think we just have to take fixing here. As much as I'd love to slam this Wind Scout, we have no fixing and we're on pack 3, and we're definitely a 3-color deck. So I have to take the Swiftwater Cliffs. It is unfortunate because I would love to just slam that Just Sky Wind Scout, but we're not going to. We're going to take the Cliffs and accept our fate on that one. Remember, we're probably still playing 18 lands since our fixing is practically non-existent, and we have Tormenting Voice and Weave Fate, which I do think is going to help us sort of mitigate any land flood situations. So Swiftwater Cliffs, excellent pickup. I'd like one more, preferably a white one, but I'd settle for another Cliffs too. Okay, Bring Low, definitely some good removal, which this deck is a little bit short of. Not great removal, I'm not going to give it that, but good enough. And we'll take it over the second Flock, even though I think Flock's a great card for this deck too. I think I'd actually like to have some targeted removal for unblockable things or things that have Outlast. Let's cut the Dragon Grip. I think that can get the axe. It's not exactly what I want in this deck. And then I probably am going to make one more cut. Probably the Ramparts, just because it is a good roadblock. I just don't like the card all that much. I think it's expensive for what you get. And I don't like that you can't, block and tap something. It would have been nice if it was like it didn't tap it to use it, but it either cost more mana or you could only activate the ability once per turn. That would make the card substantially better in my mind. Okay, I think we actually I think we are going to take the Flock. I like Sage Eye Harrier, but white I'm still going to say is our splash color, so I think, and I might just like Flock better for this deck anyway because Harrier is just so expensive to unmorph. Skuldkin is actually a reasonable card for our deck, especially, but we're like good on the 4-drop front. Let's take a Flock, which just blocks nicely for us. Buys us that time we need to get our mini rares online. So, Crippling Chill number 2 or nothing? Well, we take the Crippling Chill and we begin to cut like Salt Road Patrol because not as good on the splash. Still like the card, but not as much on the splash. I guess I did say earlier that I'm mostly blue, splashing both red and white. I think Crippling Chill just buys us time we need, so I do like the Chill. I'd like to take Student, I just really don't think it's realistic. I'm going to take the Chill. I also like that Chill, keeping up Chill and Cancel is kind of nice. Alright, we'll take a third Weapon Master. Got an actual game plan now, which is good. This is tough. So, this is confusing to me. Since we're mostly blue, let's ditch the patrol. We're going to play 18 lands, without a doubt now, since our fixing consists of 1 Swiftwater Cliffs. This is also probably the least fixing I've had for a draft deck. Let's ditch the Whirlwind Adept too. Not that it's bad, it's just not exactly what I want. Could take the Smite the Monstrous. Mystic of the Hidden Way is okay too. Bloodfire Mentor is okay. I think we want the Smite. We're a bit removal light. We've got some counter spells. We have Kill Shot. We have Crippling Chills, which aren't really removal. Bring Low and Skuldkin, but Smite can deal with a lot of threats, and I think we have enough ways to win where we probably don't need the Mystic. Rugged Highlands. Well, I wish it was what we needed, but it's not. I could take the Erase for sideboard. Could take the Singing Bell Strike. We're short enough on cheap stuff where I guess Singing Bell Strike is not only getting picked, but possibly played. Do we need a second cancel? Probably not. I think it competes with our morph spells, of which we have plenty. I'm actually going to take the Stubborn Denial, I think, for sideboard. I think this is a reasonable card out of sideboard for some situations. And we probably have enough 4-power guys. Double Glacial Stalker, triple Weapon Master. This guy potentially. Guess we take the Mentor here. We're not really a Rush of Battle deck, but we're not going to play the Mentor either. Who am I kidding? Briber's Purse is actually good in some builds. This one not included. All right, this is a very strange deck. Very, very strange deck. But I think ultimately it's going to work since we have very powerful spells. It's just a very weird mashup of spells. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a very weird mashup of spells because we want to be aggressive because we're in Jeskai, but we're not aggressive. And we want to have a lot of control cards like removal because we're, slower, but we don't have a lot of that. We basically just have like rares at all points in the curve. And that's kind of what we're hoping to capitalize on, I presume. So yeah, we're going to play 18 lands, definitely, because our fixing is horrendously bad. And I want to minimize both. Remember, this is Grey Ogre, so this one does not count. Let me think about this. Mind Swipe is probably at least a 5-mana spell most of the time, at least. So this is 25 cards. I do want to make 3 cuts. Keep in mind these are all morph. I still want the Flying Crane technique because it's nice if you've stabilized to be like, oh, I win the game now. Okay. All my guys fly and I win the game. So 3 cuts. I guess I'd rather have hard removal over counter spells. It's not that counter spells are bad, because they're not. It's just, I feel like I'm going to be really busy on turn 3. It's going to be difficult to keep up a cancel. I mean, you could argue that cancel is just going to be a good card late game, but I would almost like to just minimize any cards that have double color in their casting cost, because we really are going to have a hard time getting our mana right. So I think I have to cut cancel, because 2 blue is just going to be too difficult to consistently land. I don't think I want to cut Tormenting Voice or Weave Fate, because they both draw. But that being said, I actually like Crippling Chill. I could see the argument for Crippling Chill being better than Tormenting Voice for 2 reasons. You don't have to discard, you get to tap something down, you still draw, and it's in our base color, our base in parentheses color, because blue, I presume, is our most populous color, right? Yes, okay, by a large margin, as this deck indicates. I see. Okay. Such an interesting deck. Let's cut the Tormenting Voice, because I think it's that versus Crippling Chill, and I really don't want to cut Crippling Chill since it buys us time, as said. War Shrieker's pretty unimpressive in this deck, but somehow I managed to get rid of... I thought I had too many 4-drops, but I've managed to really get rid of a lot of them. We are short on creatures, but keep in mind the creatures we do have are good finishers. Our removal would be what? Singing Bellstrike, which is admittedly pretty unexciting for this deck. Probably a better sideboard card against the hyper aggro. All right, I think I cut in this Singing Bellstrike despite us really not doing much of anything on turn 2, which I don't like. But keep in mind we have double Flock, so turn 3 hard casting a Flock is great. Yeah, I can get behind that. Turn 3 leaving up Kill Shot or Crippling Chill is also fine. Yeah, I think this deck can probably safely be run like this. And let's bring in our Cliffs. The nice thing is we don't need much blue because it's all monocolor, even though it's our most populous color. So we can sort of we can sort of divvy up our mana base in a way that makes it look terrible, but it actually, I think, is still going to be fine. Yeah, no thank you on the green. So we could have 6 sources of red, 8 sources of blue, and 5 sources of white. I definitely want blue early. Could I get away with 7 sources of blue, 6 sources of red, 6 sources of white? I think the issue is I do need all of my colors in order to cast spells. This is a pretty crippled mana base, I guess, isn't it? How bad is it though? It's mostly hinging on, can I consistently see... Well, here's the thing about our deck. We have so much morph that as long as we're seeing lands, we can at least play Grey Ogres, which I admit, it's not great. And usually not what you want your game plan to be, but this is a unique deck. Unique is a nice way of putting it. Yeah, I think we probably run our mana base like this. 7 sources of blue seems a bit light, but we only need 1, like I said, to really do everything. We really only need 1 red and 1 white as well. But we need all 3 for sure to eventually get our weapon masters online or our bomb rares. This is a bit of an interesting deck. That's all I can say. I think we're going to run it like this. Let me look at my colors one more time. All combined. This requires all 3. This requires that. This doesn't require any. We do have more blue than both white and red, but we need all 3. I don't know. I'm going to run it like this. I am going to run it like this. We'll see how it goes. I do almost feel like I need 8 sources of blue. Jeez. I'm not going to. I'm just... Ugh. I'm going to go up to 8 sources of blue. I haven't figured out how yet. I either cut a white or a red source, and I guess I have less red. So I'll cut a red source for a blue source. All right, so 8 sources of blue, 5 sources of red, 6 sources of white. This will be interesting. All right, I'll see you around 1.